The Bloody Butcher is a new game plus level 150 Dex Arcane build that's going to focus on using 2 Reduvias and a grouping of Talismans that I feel synergize so well that they cause a devastating amount of damage to enemies and bosses in this game, allowing you just to run right through the game, having little to no problem as you make your way through the lands between. So I'm super excited to bring this build to you guys. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments, and let's get right into it. Now, this build is something that I put together because not only do I absolutely love daggers in almost every single game that I've played and used them in, but they also do damage so fast if you can set up the build correctly. I feel like in this Bloody Butcher build, we've set up the Reduvias to do not only a lot of damage with melee, but also with the Ash of War to completely destroy any boss or enemy that you're going to come across in Elden Ring. And honestly, I wanted to see if the Reduvia lived up to the hype after the most recent patch. This weapon has gone through a few different nerfs over the course of the entirety that Elden Ring has been out, so I wanted to take a stab at it to see if I could make this weapon very viable. And spoiler alert, it's absolutely incredible. Now, starting out with the stats of the Reduvia, I have mine at +9, and I have a physical damage of 182 plus 219, and you're going to have a strength scaling of E, a dex scaling of C, and an arcane scaling of B. This is going to cause blood loss at 94, and it's only going to require 5 strength, 13 dexterity, and 13 arcane to use, so definitely an early game weapon, especially since you can get it in Limgrave right here on the map after you defeat the Invader with Yura's help. Now, sadly, there is not a way to get a second Reduvia until you get to New Game Plus, unless you have somebody drop one for you, but that is the main reason that this is a New Game Plus build, is because both weapons can't simultaneously exist in one playthrough. Now, moving on into the Talismans, we do have a few Talismans that will stack on top of each other, allowing your attack rating to absolutely skyrocket, so let's get into those right now. The first Talisman we're going to be using is the Millicent's Prosthesis. This is an excellent Talisman that's going to help boost your attack power, and the more times you hit your enemy, the more your attack power is going to boost, leaving you with a plus 11% attack power boost with this particular Talisman. However, it does stack with our second Talisman, and that is the Rotten Wing Sword Insignia. This is also going to act very similar to Millicent's Prosthesis, however, it's going to give you a higher rating for your attack power, leaving you with 13% attack power boost, but it does not give you the extra dexterity that the Millicent's Prosthesis does. In Talisman slot number 3, we have the Lord of Blood's Exaltation, which is going to cause anytime there's blood loss in the vicinity for our attack power to boost up by 20%. This is also going to stack with the Rotten Wing Sword Insignia and Millicent's Prosthesis, absolutely skyrocketing our attack power, thus making our damage go way up. For Talisman slot number 4, we have the Shard of Alexander, and this is going to greatly boost the attack power of our skills. Obviously, we're going to be using the Reduvia's Ash of War, and we want that 15% extra damage that we can get from this Talisman to be applied to that weapon. Now, if you want to get these Talismans for the build, the Millicent's Prosthesis and Rotten Wing Sword Insignia are going to be attained from Millicent's questline. However, I mentioned before having 2 Reduvia is the only reason that this is a New Game Plus build. I misspoke, and this is actually the other reason that this is a New Game Plus build. You get both of these Talismans from Millicent's questline, but you cannot do it within the same playthrough. Because of the decisions you have to make in her questline, one decision is going to leave you with Millicent's Prosthesis, and the other is going to leave you with the Rotten Wing Sword Insignia, but I will leave that video linked down in the description below, so you guys can check that out for yourself. The Lord of Blood's Exaltation is going to be found in the Lindell Catacombs dungeon after you defeat the boss there, but be careful because he does a ton of bleed damage and can kill you rather quickly. And lastly, the Shard of Alexander is going to be received from Alexander's questline. I am in the process of making that questline video currently, so I will link that down in the description when I finish that up, so you guys can follow along and get this talisman. And guys, real quick, I just want to thank you guys so much for watching this far into the video. It does mean a lot that you guys are enjoying my content. If you have not subscribed yet, feel free to subscribe and hit the bell notifications so you guys can know when I'm making more videos. Also, we just got a Patreon, so if you feel like you want to support the channel in a different way, the link to the Patreon is going to be in the description below. If you want to go check it out, there will be videos going up on the Patreon that are not going to be on YouTube, so go check it out over there. I would appreciate that a ton. Your support means everything. Now let's get into the rest of the video. So for your Flask of Wonders Physic, you're going to be using 2 particular tiers that I feel benefit the build very well, but if you find that you want to swap one of these out, I will also let you know what some substitutions could be if you want to put something different in this build. So first and foremost, we're using the Dexterity Not Crystal tier because we have a lot more arcane than we do dexterity with this particular build, just so we can get a lot of our bleed damage off. But this is going to give us plus 10 dexterity after we drink our flask, allowing us when we do get up close and personal with the Reduvia, because your physical damage with the Reduvia is going to scale a lot better with dex than it will with arcane. For the second tier in our flask, we're using the Thorny Crack tier, one of my all-time favorite tiers in Elden Ring, and this is going to temporarily boost your successive attack power. As you attack more and more, this tier is going to give you a 20% increase in your attack attack power, thus allowing us to get more damage poured into the build. Now, the Dexterity Knot Crystal tier is going to be located in Liurnia of the Lake, so you can get it pretty easily. It's going to be on a very small island right here on the map, southwest of the Boil Prawn Shack. However, the Thorny Crack tier is going to be a much later game tier found in the consecrated snowfields after you kill the Putrid Avatar guarding the Minor Erd Tree in the north. Now, if you do want to substitute one of these tiers out, I highly recommend you keep the Thorny Crack tier in here, but you can take the Dexterity Knot Crystal tier out for a Stamina tier just because you are going to be eating through stamina with daggers because you're attacking so fast, or if you find you get hit more times than not, possibly putting the Opaline Bubble tier in there to give you a little bit of grace in that area would be good for your build. And for your armor, you can use absolutely anything you want as long as you get over that 51 poise mark, because as I've stated before in some videos, if you don't get over the 51 poise mark and you're using daggers and attacking very, very close to your enemy, if you get hit, you're going to get slammed right onto the ground and you won't be able to tank any hits at all. The only armor piece that I would recommend for this build is using the White Mask, because that's going to give you a 10% increase in your attack power if blood loss is in the vicinity. This is going to stack with every talisman we have and our Flask of Wonders physics, so it's going to synergize with the build very well overall. And if you want to get this mask, you can venture into Mogwin's Palace and you'll fight 3 assassins there, and the 3rd assassin will drop this for you. Now, the very last thing I'm going to show you here is my build stats. I'm currently at level 169, although most of those extra stats are only into vigor. Everything else can be attained exactly at 150. So I would do 50 vigor, 15 mind, 23 endurance, 12 strength because you don't need it. Dexterity will be at 30, Intelligence at 9, Faith at 25 if you have extra stats, and Arcane is at 80, so your Reduvia will hit as hard as possible, getting those massive chunks of hemorrhage off on your enemy. If you do have the extra Faith, obviously using Flame Grant Strength and Golden Bow is going to give you more damage overall, so I highly recommend those as well. And guys, that is going to be it for the Bloody Butcher. If you guys loved the build or if you hated the build, let me know down in the comments below. I would love to know what you guys would change or keep the same, and how you would get the most damage out of this build if you used it personally. Once again, remember the Patreon, it is up and running. I'll leave it down in the description below. Subscribe if you have not, as well as watch some of these videos here on the screen if you like Dex Arcane builds. I got a bunch more where that came from. So guys, until next time, stay safe, enjoy the game, and I'll see you in the next one.